The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its taste, with what can it be seasoned? It is no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city set on a mountain cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and then put it under a bushel basket. It is set on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house. Just so your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Today for our gospel, we heard something that we've heard many times before. We're called to be salt for the earth, light for the nations. We know that. I'm going to take that as for granted, that we're called to do more than just exist in this world, but we have a purpose, a mission given to us by God because we are Christians. We're called to go out. One way we can describe this comes from the Great Commission, the two great commandments. Love God with everything. Our complete selves need to be completely turned over to God. And I don't think it's a great jump to say we don't do that perfectly. We could do better. And we're called to love our neighbors as ourselves. And I think we could also do better with that. I'm going to take that for granted and then talk about some thoughts of why is it that we're not as great at that as we should be. I came up with 6 reasons very quickly, and so I'll share them with you. Why is it that we're not so great at loving our neighbor and serving them and helping them in the way that perhaps deep inside we realize we should? And not in a particular order, but just sort of as they came up. I think one of the big reasons, especially for us in our current place and time, is that we're very comfortable. It's really easy for us to just focus on ourselves when we have all these great comforts. I could go into my house and I have buttons and switches to make things very comfortable. I have air conditioning, I have heat, I have light switches, I have more food than I really need. I could even, if I want to, I could just use an app and have food delivered to my front door. I don't even have to see anyone. I don't have to be bothered by any irritating people. I could just be by myself, and I have all these great devices that help distract me and keep me comfortable. Okay. Part of that is why I think a second reason why we can not notice this or not be connected to other people as well is that we can be blind to the needs that they have. Sometimes out of our own fault. There's times I've been guilty of this. Oh, the person looks like they're going to ask something of me, and I don't know that I really want to deal with that whole exchange. And maybe I shouldn't give that person money. I think they may be taking advantage of me, but I'm just going to pretend I don't see them. Oh yeah, there's no one I need to bother with right now. I'm just going to walk past. We're blind to it. Other times it's not necessarily our fault, but we could perhaps do more to discover. And I think of this. Right now we have many people here. There's a few empty seats, but we're pretty full. So as a side note, I noticed there's lots of empty seats up in the choir loft. So if you feel like you should be part of the choir, you're guaranteed a seat. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, we could have more people in the choir. That'd be wonderful. But looking around, everyone seems to be doing okay. I don't see anyone crying or doing real poorly. Not even any of the kids are crying at this moment. Everyone's doing wonderful. But I know from experience and from hearing confessions and from talking to people that actually a good number of you are struggling with some pretty heavy stuff. Either health issues or problems within your family. Perhaps some of your family have kind of wandered off. Either they're not coming to church at all, or they're just in a really bad place and they're not going to listen to anything that you would possibly say. You're dealing with some big things, many of you. I know this. But it's hidden. Partly because you don't want to just kind of blab about it to everyone around, but partly because our culture, or just kind of politeness says, like, no, don't burden other people with your problem, just keep them to yourself. But there's actually a time, and it's appropriate, to share your burdens with others. And I think we as a community can do better at that, being a place where someone can say, I need help, can you just listen to me? I'm dealing with a lot right now. So we can be blind to that. Another reason why we could maybe not do so well at loving our neighbor is we're afraid of what that might mean. One situation came up recently, and the people very much involved were at the previous Mass, so I'm not going to call them out, they're not here, but there's a woman, I forget even how I got into contact with her, but she has a lot of health issues. And she was here, but the only real family she has is in a completely different state. She was alone here. And we had someone come and bring her communion, and that was a blessing for both people. And then she asked if I could help find someone to help take her to the hospital for a procedure that she needed. And this procedure the hospital required that person, that driver, to stay present in case something happens, and to make sure that they're there. And in a way, I wasn't terribly surprised that when she got there, they started and they realized, no, her heart was too weak to go through with the procedure right now. She needed some other help first. So this few-hour procedure ended up being like 3 or 4 days in the hospital. And then she has a cat at her apartment. She needed someone to take care of the cat. And so this couple that helped, okay, we'll bring her to the hospital and bring her back. It ended up being longer, multiple days, and visiting, making sure the cat was okay and all of this. And we know this. There's many times when we say, okay, I'm going to do a good little thing, and it turns out to be a much bigger thing than we planned. And sometimes it's irritating. It's an inconvenience more than what we bargained for. And so out of fear of that, sometimes we're like, you know what, I'm not going to get involved. Because I have a feeling this could become bigger than what I feel comfortable doing right now. Another reason why we can hold back a little bit is we see someone with some needs, and we don't even know how to help them. Either the needs seem so big or so complicated that I don't know what I can actually do. So God help them send someone that knows what to do, and that's as far as I go. Or we look at that, if there a particular situation, it just could be overwhelming. Or we get overwhelmed by the number of people that need help. Oh, that person, and then like all you all have some need that perhaps it's too much. And we're just overwhelmed, and we just get stuck, and we don't do as much as perhaps we could. And then the last reason that I was thinking about, I hope is not in your heart, but I'm afraid it is, because I see it in my heart as well. Frankly, we could just be hard-hearted. I don't want to deal with you. Just, nope, too much. I'm just going to take care of myself. I don't want to, yep, I see the need, but I'm not going to let my heart be moved from your difficulty or your suffering. I just need to take care of number one. That's it. I don't need to say much other than that clearly is not what we're called to as Christians. Jesus Christ did not come to say, nope, take care of yourself first, and if there's anything left over, you could share the crumbs with others. No, he does not want our hearts to be hard-hearted. Okay, so we have different reasons, and I'm sure there's many others, of why we're not as great as we could be. Something that I've been pondering for years, up in the mountains and since my time here, and I feel very called that this is where I think, or one of the big missions for us this year as a parish, including myself. And I've talked with the deacons, we'll be preaching about this off and on through the rest of the year. I think we're called to be better neighbors of the people around us. Not just the people that live right next door, but the people that live across the street or in our neighborhood, or the coworkers that we work with, or the people that we commute with, or the people that are part of clubs and organizations we're with, or wherever. the kind of people where we have some connection with them, and it can and perhaps should be better. Not that we're going to become great friends with them, but that we can improve and make it so that we're better neighbors. And I think of this. I know it's very easy for us to drive down the street through our neighborhood and we recognize someone. Oh yeah, that man, he's out in his front yard a lot. He has a great front yard. And we're great neighbors because I wave to him and he sees me and he waves back. And then I push the button in this little device in my car, I drive into my driveway, the door closes, and that's it. That was my interaction with my neighborhood for the day. I think we could do better. I think we're made to do better. So my encouragement for you is to ponder who are your neighbors? Who are the people that God has placed in your life in some way? You may not know their names. You may not know much about them. You may suspect that they're kind of weird and you're not quite sure you want to be with them. You may know that they play their music too loud and they kind of keep you up, and you would like different neighbors, but those are the neighbors God has given you. Or the coworkers that you see, who are the people that God has placed in your life in some way? That if you went up and said, hey, I've seen you for a long time, you live across the street, what's your name? It would seem appropriate to do. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary to come and ask for that next step. Or say, hey, I've seen you a lot. I'm inviting, would you and this other neighbor, would you like to come over for dinner? Those kind of people where it wouldn't be bizarre. It would be, oh, okay, might be nice. Let's try that. That kind of person. With the goal for this next week and a half before Ash Wednesday comes, who are those people? And I ask every single one of you, everyone in our parish, myself included, our deacons, our altar servers, everyone, who are 3 people within that realm who you feel like God is saying, you know what, I want you to pray for them. To pray in a particular way for 3 people during Lent. Each day. And maybe it's a short prayer, maybe you feel real strongly, you know what, I'm going to give up something for their sake. Maybe that's part of your Lenten practice, I don't know. But whatever your practice is, can you add on this, that you're going to pray for 3 people each day? 3 neighbors, 3 coworkers, 3 classmates, 3 people that you feel need some help. And it's not you have everything all together, but you just 3 people you realize, no, they're struggling. Or I have a feeling they don't know God very well. I don't think they go to church. I don't think they are really Christians. I'm going to pray for them that God helps them take that next step closer to himself this Lent. 3 people that God has placed in your heart, like that person. One thing that may come up, especially for parents of grown children, like, oh yeah, I need to pray for that kid that they come back to church. Maybe, but I'm going to say family gets complicated, all that kind of stuff. Maybe 3 people that you don't have that difficult, long relationship with. 3 people that are more of neighbors. And then I do have to say this because one of our deacons, not this deacon, Deacon Ron, brought it up. He was pointing to someone after Mass, after the last Mass, and said, oh, maybe I need to pray for you. Okay. Very explicitly, this is between you and God. Because I don't want to hear anyone say, like, I've been praying for you all Lent, you better show up at church for Easter. Like, no, not that, because that's just obnoxious. Don't do that. This is between you and God, and if you see something beautiful happening, celebrate with God. Like, yes, my prayers, thank you, God, my prayers were able to do something for this person, and keep it to yourself. Okay. There's a name behind every rule that comes up. We would talk about this a lot in seminary. I'm guessing in our school here, there's a name behind lots of the rules. Like, oh yeah, that. So this is the Deacon Ron rule. Okay. One other thing that I think may be helpful, or interesting, and it connects with this, It's a group, it's a nonprofit organization. It started, 40 years ago in the United States, in the South someplace. And they have chapters around the country, and there's one that's being developed here in Arvada. And on behalf of our parish, I'm joining the Shrine of St. Anne with them and hoping to get this up and running. It's called Love Inc., I-N-C, in the name of Christ. And what they do is they bring together in a network lots of Christian churches from different denominations within a community so that they could help our neighbors, but in a very particular way, in a very one-on-one personal way, which is why I was very interested when I heard about it, because this is what I feel. It's so easy to give, okay, we're going to run a food pantry, okay, food for you and for you and for you, okay, great, thanks, bye. That's pretty easy. It's a whole lot more difficult, but a whole lot more impactful to say, you're hungry. I got some food for you. Who are you? What is your name? What is your story? Let me tell you something about myself so that it becomes a relationship, which is what we're called to do. This is one of the things Love Inc. does. They try to gather up churches in a community so that if someone comes and says, hey, I need help with rent, there could be a little bit of a screening and find out, do they really need help? Or are they just going out for handouts all over the place and aren't interested in improving? But if we come across someone who really wants help, great. The group and individual churches will come alongside them, walk with them, and use the network and find out, okay, you need some help with rent, and then you need some food? Well, the church down the street, we know them. We'll send you over there. We'll let them know you're coming. We'll get you set up with food. And you need some furniture for this apartment you got? We know a church that has some stuff that can help. You need help understanding how better to use your finances? There's a church that does financial education classes. We'll get you set up with that. You need a ride to get to work or medical appointments for a little while? We got a whole group of volunteers who will be happy to come by and pick you up. That kind of thing, where there's individual people walking with other human beings, not different from ourselves, who need some help. And do that deep connection to help change lives and hearts, rather than just a handout, which can be easy. Something more. If you're interested in that, I have some handouts I put together for, they don't completely explain what they do, but something. I'll have them in the back. One of the things that we're looking for is to have one in particular, but probably a little team, what they call them, church ministry coordinator, something like that. Basically, a representative of our parish that can work with Love Inc. and help them get up and running and find out how can we help. And then if there's certain circumstances, they could come back to the parish and say, hey, I don't know, they have a new office building. We need 3 or 4 people to help paint and set up their new office buildings. Can we have some volunteers? That sort of thing. Or we have a situation with a family that needs some help. Great, we're going to connect them with some of our people here. If you feel interested in that, please let me know. I don't know exactly how this will turn out. I love the idea. And I'm really excited to see what Love Inc. is able to do in Arvada. So you'll hear more about that going forward, but that's one of our updates, and I think it's a beautiful way for us to remember or to think about. We're called to love our neighbors. And individual neighbors, not neighbors as a group, but individual people, neighbors, co-workers, classmates. Who are 3 that God is placing on your heart that he says, no, I want you to pray for these, get to know these 3 neighbors.